why central banks are stockpiling gold. The metal offers a hedge against inflation and a way to circumvent sanctions. Folks, this is Fernando doing another video for the Modern Survivalist. And before I go on with this topic, which is pretty important, I want to remind you that if you're interested in this kind of thing for survival and preparedness, you need my book, Surviving the Economic Collapse, strongly linked to what we're going to be talking about today, as well as 3 survival skills for a practical aspect of surviving when things go wrong, when times get tough. Now, as you see, this is a little bit of an older article. This has been going on for several years, and recently they're talking about this kind of stuff, like circumventing sanctions because of what's going on with the war in Ukraine and sanctions in Russia. 1968, the London bullion market closed for 2 weeks. The world's largest precious metal market had run out of gold, drained by a 5-month run on American stash by European central banks. The crisis market, that beginning of the end of the Bretton Woods standard that had kept the dollar pegged to gold. Currency elsewhere to the gold since 19... Well, anyway, you get where this is going. But what you need to be reminded is that this idea of fiat currencies is nothing new. And the thing that is the oldest by far is gold. The idea of gold and silver being the real currency that humans have been using for thousands of years. Now, I also want to share with you this. This is a little bit more recent. February 8, 2023, central banks bought the most gold on record last year. And it just keeps on going. You just see that there's a very strong tendency for central banks to accumulate as much gold as they can. Why? Because history teaches us something very simple, which is when you have a debased economy, when you have a fiat currency that has no value on its own, it is inevitably gonna crash. It's unavoidable that it will crash. It happened in the Roman Empire when you had those denarius coins that were pretty much silver coins and gold coins, and they wisely thought, well, we can mix it up with a little bit of crap, so it's gonna be a little bit less silver in those coins, and eventually ends up being just a coin with just tin, just crap, no silver left. That's the fall of the Roman Empire. The British Empire went through a similar process. You had sterling silver pounds, right? You have those coins, pre-1920 coins. They have a bunch of those, 90% silver, 92% sterling silver. Anyway, they went from that to the pre-1940-ish, 40% silver, and you know how that goes. When they completely debase that coin, it has no precious metal whatsoever, the British Empire ceases to exist. Now you have the American Empire that just got rid of its gold standard. Historically, it was yesterday, because if you go back to just a few years, historically speaking, it's really not that long of a time. So it's kind of recently, but it's been accelerating greatly, which just shows you that the collapse of the dollar, it's not a matter of, oh, would it ever happen? No, it is a known fact. We know that it just cannot sustain itself, especially given how greedy the people and the people in charge of printing money for themselves inevitably become. It is just as common as man itself. It happened in the Roman Empire. It happened with the British Empire. It's happening with the American Empire. They just give themselves. They just cannot avoid the addiction of printing money for myself, and that just shows that it's collapsing inevitably. And at the same time, we have BRICS. We have Brazil, China, Russia, India, South Africa. Doesn't seem like a big deal, but it's been taking away 12% of the share of the international market in the last 10 years. That is still a lot. I mean, the US dollar still rules, but the renminbi, the Chinese currency, it is slowly gaining speed. And if it goes along with Russia, and Russia's like your drunk uncle that makes a stink in the middle of the of Christmas holidays, and everyone looks, oh, that fucking drunk Russian uncle. Well, China is the wise planning relative that you have that doesn't make a show. He doesn't get drunk, but he's planning. He's thinking long term. He's thinking 10, 20, 30, 50 years from now. That's how Chinese think. And in this great debate of West versus East, I'm all in West. I believe that in spite of all the problems that United States and Europe has, well, the ideals that are the foundation of our culture are better than the ones from China, from Russia. Why? Because they are anti-liberty. China is a communist regime. Russia is a Soviet communist regime. They have dictators. They don't have freedom. And above all, what I see is people don't want to go live to fucking China or Russia. They want to live in the West. They want to go live in Europe. They want to go live in the United States. They don't die to live in China or in Russia or in North Korea or in Cuba or in Venezuela or the rest of the commie regimes that have dictators in power and horrible quality of living for its people. So that's where I'm coming from. But in economic terms, you see that they're smart. They're planning their currency. Seems to be that they're planning to back it by gold. If that happens, we are done in terms of the power of the dollar. It will be wiped away in a very short period of time, because anything that's backed by gold, that's what survives. That's where the money goes. The money will go to gold in this fight. So if your currency is backed by gold, you will be king of the hill. Gold prices predictions 2023. It's time for gold prices to shine. A new high gold price coming, possibly. So the gold is in theory, 1900. So it's low. You know, right? Gold is cheap right now. Well, that is unlikely to sustain itself. And no matter how much you try to manipulate the market, the indicators are all over the place. Gold is what central banks keep stocking up for good reason. Folks, that's going to be all for now. See you on our next video. Take care.